So we're starting with subtraction now. So to begin with, in reception, we'll probably sing lots of songs, like Five Little Speckled Frogs, because one keeps going, less, we use all those types of language. And then eventually, yes, we move back onto our 10 frames and a number track or number lines. It is a bit more confusing for the children, but they do actually enjoy taking things away as well. So we basically, for this in reception, we just use the red counters, okay, and then we take the counters away. So for example, they might see a number sentence here, or we might see if we've got a board up and we see some animals or something, and we say we're going to take away 2 of them or 4 of them. So if there were 7 animals and we're taking away 4, they have their 10 frame and they remove 4 counters, and there's the answer. And then they can record that as well in a number sentence. And it's just the same here. So it's on the number track, so they'll have to put 7 counters on, and then we'll say we're going to take away 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many are left? There are 3. But that is the start of subtraction in reception in the early years.
Subtraction year 1. I forgot to mention when I talked about addition that the numbers that they deal with in year 1, up to 10 for the autumn term, and then up to 20 and 50 in the spring term, and then up to 100 in the summer term, so that the children get a really secure understanding of number before moving on to the larger numbers. So moving on to subtraction, following on from what Chris said, in year 1 they would use concrete objects like cubes, etc., and physically take away, so they're taking away a number of given objects. They also use number lines and number tracks, and here you can see that the number sentence 17 take away 3. So it's showing 17 on the number line and then counting back 3 and jumping back 3, so you get to the answer of 14. And here we have, you'll be now more familiar with this, your part whole model. And here, as I said earlier, this part is missing, so they will know to find the missing part. 17 take away 3 will give me what? And you could have this part missing as well, okay? And then again, using the base 10 or the 10s and 1s, they would have started with 17 here, and then they would take away 3 and then see what their answer is. And here we have the bar model, the missing section there. What's my missing number? 17 take away 3. So all different ways using concrete and some pictorial to explain subtraction. And then also here we would lead on to the children in their books would draw their own number line. And we would encourage them to know that they would only need to draw a small section of the number line, the section that will help them to answer the question. So here they would draw just this part, 16 take away, so that they would then do their own number line in their book, number it correctly obviously, and then count back so that they would get the answer. Drawing their own number frame, or in the concrete example they could have used a number frame to take away, or sorry, a tens frame. So here they would have drawn in the number 16, and then they would cross out. And also for subtraction as well, in year 1 they would have pictures, and they would have, let's say, a given number of, let's say, teddy bears, let's say 16 in this case, and then they would cross out 3 teddy bears so that they would know how many teddy bears are left. Again, always linking it with the worded problems. I have 16 of whatever, I take away 3, how many do I have left? So that they don't see worded problems as something totally different to when you see a number sentence, that it's relating it to using it in a more challenging way, leading then to the abstract where the number sentence is written. 16 take away 3 is 13. I know I keep using the term number sentence. It's very important. A lot of children see them as sums. Sum, if you take the exact definition, it's addition, you're adding. So it's a number sentence. So it's an addition number sentence or a subtraction number sentence. So that is, I'll just double check the notes if that's okay. Yeah, that's it.
In year 2, it's similar to addition where we use our place value charts, but we again use our place value counters and our base 10. So if I start with place value counters, they physically put in their whole number, so similar to the part whole model, they put in their whole number into the place value chart, and if they're taking away 11, they start with their ones and they take away 1, 1, and then they take away 1 10 because they've got 1 10 in 11. And then if you're doing the base 10, it's the exact same method. So if you're taking away 12 from 35, I'm going to start in my ones column, I'm going to take away 2 1s, and I'm going to take away 1 10, and I'm left with 2 10s, 3 1s, 23. Yeah, so that's the concrete. And then moving on to pictorial, similarly again, they go into their place value chart, but instead of having the concrete base 10, they would then draw it into their maths book or wherever they're doing it, and they draw in their whole number here into their place value chart. So they've got 4 10s and 5 1s. They're going to start in their ones column and they're going to take away 2 1s, and they physically just cross out 2 1s and they're left with 3, and then they're going to cross out 1 10 and they're left with 3, so they've got their answer 33. And then moving on to abstract, similar here, you've still got pretty much your place value chart there. Rather than drawing it, they're just putting in the numbers. So if they know they're taking away 2 1s, they're going to do 5 take away 2, and it's going to give them 3. And then if they're going to take away 1 10 from 4 10s, it's going to give them 3 10s. Another way that they might do it in abstract for subtraction is if they're doing 45 take away 12, they're going to take away their 1s first, which is similar to addition, and then they're going to deal with their 10s. So 5 take away 2 equals 3, there's your 1s. 40 take away 10 equals 30, there's your 10s. And then you need to add those together to get your answer. So that would be the abstract ways that we would do it.
So we pick up the story from year 2 and we work on the next set of numbers up to 1,000. So same principles apply. So here is my 435, take away 273. 430 and my 5. We then start working with our smallest numbers. So our 3, take away our 5. So out of my 5, I can take away 3. We then look at our next column and we start taking our 70 away from 30. As you can see, there are only 3 here, so I can't take 7 10s away from it. So I then take my 100, I swap it for 10 10s. We call that exchange. And then I have 13 sets of 10s to take 70 away from. When I take 70 away from that, I am left with 6 10s. We then have our 200, which we then take away from our 400, which is actually 3 left because we've already exchanged one. So the children get used to taking away the 200 that are left, and we end up with 162. We then do that pictorially, so the children move on away from moving the concrete numbers. So we have our squares for our hundreds, we have our sticks for our 10s, and we have our crosses or dots for our 1s. And again, we work from 3, take away from our 5. So we 1, 2, 3, so that leaves us with 2. We then start with our 70, which we take away from our 3 10s. We can't take our 7 10s away from our 3 10s, so we exchange for our 10s. And then we have our 7 10s taken out of our 13 10s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that leaves us with a group of 6. We then have our 200 to take away. We've already crossed one off. This is where it then reminds the children that if it's already done, we leave it alone. We take off our 2 more. Otherwise, we end up with calculations that have the wrong answer, and we end up with 162. When we then look at the bar model, we then have a look at our inverse, where we link it to our addition. So our 2 numbers give us our total. So when we take away, we end up with our 162. This is probably the method that they would use to work out what goes into our bar model. We then have our partitioning model, which again, same principle as our bar model, it just looks visibly different. which is still 162. And the children would still work it out this way. Then they move on to more formal written methods later on in the year, moving into year 4.